She was a beautiful North Korean secret agent, responsible for the deadliest plane crash in South Korean history. 115 lives were lost, yet incredibly, she received a presidential pardon and now lives freely in South Korea. Who is she, and how did she walk away from such a devastating act? Today, we're diving into the shocking story of the North Korean spy and the bombing of Korean Air Flight 858. The whole tragic saga began with the 1988 Seoul Olympics. Hosting the Games was a massive opportunity for South Korea to boost its global standing, and the entire nation was buzzing with excitement. But for North Korea, it was a bitter pill to swallow. They saw it as a provocation, a challenge to their legitimacy. Their response? A horrific plot to destabilize South Korea and sabotage the Olympics. On November 29, 1987, Korean Air Flight 858, a Boeing 707, took off from Baghdad, Iraq, bound for Seoul. The flight was scheduled to make 2 stopovers, one in Abu Dhabi, UAE, and another in Bangkok, Thailand. After landing in Abu Dhabi, 15 passengers disembarked. The remaining 104 passengers and 11 crew members continued towards Bangkok. Most of them were ordinary Korean workers returning home. The plane departed Abu Dhabi and, by 2 p.m., was over the Andaman Sea. The captain's last communication with air traffic control in Myanmar was completely normal, indicating they were on schedule to reach Bangkok. But shortly after, Flight 858 mysteriously vanished from radar. The search for answers begins. Air traffic control in Bangkok waited, but Flight 858 never arrived. Initial theories from South Korea leaned towards mechanical failure or bad weather, partly because Korean Air had a previous incident where a front landing gear malfunction caused severe damage upon landing. Plus, this particular Boeing 707 was 16 years old. However, the pilot had sent no distress signal, which was highly unusual. Without a clear location for the disappearance, South Korea and Myanmar launched a massive search and rescue operation in the Andaman Sea. The immense search area made it a daunting task, but the priority was clear: find out what happened to Flight 858. Soon, a crucial lead emerged. Interpol's investigation identified 2 suspicious individuals traveling on Flight 858, a man named Shinichi Hachiya and a woman named Mayumi Hachiya, posing as father and daughter. They had boarded the flight, but disembarked at the first stop in Abu Dhabi. Their passports were quickly flagged as fakes. When authorities contacted the Japanese embassy, they discovered the real passport holders were still in Japan. Alarm bells went off. Bahrain police swiftly located the pair, and South Korean investigators immediately flew in to assist. While the 2 were suspicious, there was no direct evidence linking them to the plane's disappearance. However, just as questioning was about to begin, both individuals asked for a cigarette. Investigators, perhaps too confident or simply unaware of the potential danger, allowed it. The pair pulled out Marlboro cigarettes from their pockets. Then, disaster struck. As they lightly bit into their cigarettes, security forces swooped in, snatching the cigarettes from their mouths. The substance inside was cyanide, a deadly poison often used by North Korean agents. Both collapsed, but despite immediate medical attention, Shinichi Hachiya died. Mayumi Hachiya, however, was saved. To prevent further suicide attempts, she was placed under 24-hour surveillance. Once recovered, Mayumi Hachiya was flown to Seoul and taken to the infamous Namsan underground interrogation facility. Under intense questioning, she initially claimed to be Kim Hyon-hui, a Chinese national from northeast China, and that Shinichi Hachiya was her lover. South Korean investigators, trying to poke holes in her story, brought in a woman from northeast China to verify her accent. The moment Mayumi Hachiya spoke, the Chinese woman immediately noticed something was off. She wasn't speaking a northeastern dialect at all, but rather Cantonese. She had been lying from the start. Investigators tried everything to break her, even telling jokes to see if she'd crack a smile, a true test of a rigorously trained agent. But she remained stone-faced. When asked about her hometown, she claimed to be from Wuchang City in Heilongjiang. But when pressed about other nearby cities, she couldn't name a single one. She claimed to have lived in Japan for a year, but got every Japan-related question wrong. The evidence was mounting. She was fabricating her entire identity. Realizing that brute force wasn't working, the South Koreans changed tactics. They gave her a degree of freedom, allowing her to walk the streets of Seoul. What she saw shocked her. Growing up in North Korea, she had been fed propaganda that South Koreans lived in abject misery. But the bustling, prosperous streets of Seoul revealed a starkly different reality, a lie. Confronted with the truth, and visibly affected by the contrast, Mayumi Hachia finally broke down. She confessed. Her real name was Kim Hyon-hui, and the man with her was Kim Sung-ael. They were both North Korean agents. Their mission, to bomb Korean Air Flight 858 and disrupt the Seoul Olympics. They had placed the bomb in an overhead compartment, timed to detonate 9 hours later, before disembarking in Abu Dhabi. Their original plan was to fly to Bahrain and then buy tickets to Rome. Kim Hyon-hui's story is one of chilling manipulation. Naturally beautiful, she was a child star, acting in films from elementary school. At age 10, she even represented North Korea, presenting flowers to a South Korean delegation. After high school, her exceptional abilities led to her selection as a state agent by the Workers' Party of Korea, an immense honor in North Korea. In 1981, she was sent to a secret training camp, learning various skills, including languages. During her training, she was taught Japanese and Japanese customs by a Japanese woman, reportedly one of several Japanese citizens abducted by North Korean agents from coastal areas, used solely to train spies. Kim Hyon-hui spent years working in Macau, China, investigating North Korean defectors. Her first real mission came in 1987, bomb Flight 858 to prevent South Korea from successfully hosting the Olympics. The rest, as we know, rocked South Korea and the world. North Korea vehemently denied involvement, claiming South Korea had bombed its own plane and framed them. North Korea's search efforts for the missing plane were notably lackluster, withdrawing after only 10 days in the Myanmar waters. For a long time, neither the plane's wreckage nor the black box was found, fueling North Korea's conspiracy theories. South Korea, however, did not immediately put Kim Hyon-hui on trial, as the crucial Olympics were approaching. In 1989, Kim Hyon-hui was finally tried in a South Korean court and sentenced to death for terrorism, murder, and espionage. In court, she tearfully recounted the entire plot. She herself believed she deserved death. But in the spring of 1990, South Korean President Roh Tae-woo granted her a special pardon. This sparked outrage among some South Koreans, especially the victims' families. Why pardon a woman responsible for such a heinous act? The South Korean government's decision to spare Kim Hyon-hui's life was driven by several strategic reasons. Intelligence value. Kim Hyon-hui was a highly trained North Korean agent, intimately familiar with their operations and methods. She was an invaluable source for future counterintelligence efforts. Living propaganda. North Korea continued to deny responsibility, fueling conspiracy theories. Keeping Kim Hyon-hui alive served as undeniable, living proof of North Korean culpability, a powerful political tool to influence international opinion. Witness for Japan. Kim Hyon-hui was also a key witness in the cases of Japanese civilians abducted by North Korea, a fact later corroborated. Despite these reasons, the pardon remains controversial for many. After her pardon, Kim Hyon-hui took up permanent residence in South Korea, living under tight security. The incident slowly faded from public memory, but 33 years later, in 2020, the remnants of Korean Air Flight 858 were finally discovered by local fishermen in the Andaman Sea. This brought a glimmer of hope to the victims' families, who continued to search for remains and answers. But with so much time passed, it's unclear what further truths the wreckage might reveal. The case of Kim Hyon-hui and Flight 858 remains a stark reminder of Cold War-era tensions and the devastating human cost of political conflict.